Well, Canada Post has started laying off some of its striking workers. CP24's Jamie Goodfriend joins us live from our newsroom with the latest developments. Jamie.
Yeah, and we're getting reaction from both sides. We are just 1 day shy of the 2-week mark of this ongoing labor dispute between CUPW, that's the union that represents 55,000 Canada Post employees, and its employer. Actually, I want to bring in right now Aaron Zaltzman. He's an employment lawyer with Witten and Lublin Employment Lawyers. Thank you so much for joining us on CP24. We're just getting, word this afternoon that Canada Post is going to be laying off some of its striking postal workers. Can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, the legalities behind this and why the company is allowed to lay off these workers in the middle of a labor dispute?
Yes, Jamie. So I would say that it is a fairly unusual, perhaps even unprecedented move to be laying off workers in the middle of a strike. And it's whether or not they would be allowed to may in fact be an issue of some contention. The Canada Labour Code, the statute that governs the employment of the Canada Postal workers, actually specifically prevents employers from interfering with activities in a trade union, including strikes. It's sort of to prevent any kind of retaliation against employees who are trying to strike for better working conditions or pay raises.
From what I understand, as per the Canada Labour Code, that the collective agreements are no longer in effect and the conditions of their employment have now changed. I'm curious, what kind of legal pushback could the union do in regards to this, what you say is an unprecedented move?
Well, they could file a unfair labor complaint with the Canada Industrial Labor Relations, the Canadian Industry Relations Board. There could also be a grievance that is put in place. It would come down to whether or not the union is able to show that Canada Post's actions are meant to interfere with the strike rather than simply a reflection of actual changing labor conditions.
Now, Aaron, Canada Post confirmed that the layoffs are temporary. Can you tell us what does that mean, and also what rights do the affected employees have while this is all unfolding, if they are the ones that are being impacted by these layoffs?
Well, temporary layoff is a legal practice under the Canada Labour Code, and it provides for, as the name would imply, a temporary suspension of the employee from work. They are entitled to both unemployment benefits during the time that they're not working and to be returned to their jobs at the end of the temporary layoff period.
Aaron, Canada Post is also saying that they're considering options to move negotiations forward with greater urgency. We know that the federal labor minister has been very frustrated about the kind of stalemate that's going on, that talks have been grounded to a halt. Where do things go from here? What options are left on the table if this special federal mediator is not essentially can't get a deal done?
I would say that if the mediator is walking away from the table, I can't imagine that imposing these kind of layoffs is going to make it that much easier to come to an agreement. Hence why many of the Canada Post union workers are worried that the layoffs appear to be some kind of pressure tactic. So I would say that if they're not, then it's not going to make things easier. And if they are, it's probably going to make them a lot harder.
Yeah, and at a time when we've got the holidays around the corners and you've got small businesses who are being impacted, this is definitely impacting a lot of people at a time when they need it most. Aaron Zaltzman, we appreciate your time and perspective on this. Thank you.
My pleasure.